If you are a UK investor who's invested or currently considering investing in a Vanguard index fund, then this video is for you. Because Vanguard have just announced something pretty exciting. It's a new update that affects millions of investors here in the UK, and it could have a surprisingly positive long-term impact on your returns. So in this quick video, I will break down exactly what's changed, which funds are affected, and what it means for you as a UK investor. Before we begin, as always, this video is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research before investing. Alright, let's jump in. So, at the end of September 2025, Vanguard revealed some great news for UK investors. They've announced that they're lowering the ongoing charges, aka fees, for 6 of their major ETFs available to UK investors. These changes officially took place on the 7th of October 2025, and they include some of the most popular funds in the country. Funds like the Vanguard FTSE All-World ETF, which a lot of investors use as a one-fund global portfolio. Now, to be completely honest with you, this news doesn't really surprise me, because Vanguard's mission has always been about lowering the cost of investing. They've already cut fees on 7 of their bond ETFs this year, and now they are following up with another 6 equity ETFs. And if you think about it, that's a really strong sign because it shows that their funds are continuing to grow in size. And as those funds grow in size, they're actually passing those economies of scale back to the investor. There is also another factor behind this announcement, which is the competitive edge. Because Vanguard have been facing fierce competition from other providers. Providers like Invesco and iShares who have been running aggressive low-fee campaigns recently. For example, Invesco's FTSE All-World ETF charges 0.15%, which for a long time has been a highly competitive rate to the old fee of 0.22% charged by Vanguard for their all-world ETF. Obviously, when it comes to choosing ETF, there are many other factors at play other than just fees. And Vanguard certainly has advantages in other areas in comparison to other providers like iShares or Invesco. But still, fees still play a major role in the eyes of many investors who are looking to invest as cheaply as possible. Now, let's actually walk through the exact breakdown of what fees have changed. And then after that, I'm going to cover an important point that you don't want to miss out on, because if you do and you go away after this video to find these funds, you might get a little bit confused. But back to the breakdown of the new fees. On the top of Vanguard's list is the Vanguard FTSE All-World ETF, which has now dropped from 0.22% to 0.19%. Great news for many people because this fund is one of the most popular funds amongst UK investors. The second affected fund is the Vanguard FTSE North America ETF. This is the fund that covers countries like Canada and the US. And the fee for this fund has now changed from 0.10% to 0.08%. The next one on the list is the Vanguard FTSE Emerging Markets ETF, which covers countries like Brazil, China, and India. And this fund has dropped from 0.22% to 0.17%. Similarly, the Vanguard ESG Emerging Markets All Cap ETF has dropped from 0.24% to 0.19%. And in case you're wondering about the difference between this fund and the normal emerging markets ETF, the only difference is that the ESG fund excludes certain companies from the list that don't meet certain ethical standards. And then the last 2 funds that have changed are the Vanguard FTSE Japan ETF, which has dropped from 0.15% to 0.10%. And then the Vanguard Germany All Cap ETF, which has dropped from 0.10% to 0.07%. Now, I just want to raise your attention to something that I've noticed, and maybe you might have noticed it as well. Although the fee cuts came into effect on the 7th of October 2025, some third-party platforms haven't yet updated their fees on their app data. For example, on Trading212, which is the app that I personally use for my investments, as of the day of recording this video, which is the 12th of October 2025, the Vanguard FTSE All-World ETF is still showing a 0.22% fee rather than the 0.19% new fee. Same story for platforms like Hargreaves Lansdown, which are still showing a 0.22% fee. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're being overcharged, because the actual fund expenses are reduced at the fund level. So regardless of what the app displays, you are already likely benefiting from the lower fees. It's just that third-party apps can sometimes take a week or two to refresh their information. And as an example, other third-party platforms like InvestEngine are already showing a 0.19% fee for the Vanguard FTSE All-World ETF. So the speed of updates varies from provider to provider. So if you are using third-party apps like Trading212 or Hargreaves Lansdown to invest in Vanguard funds and you are seeing different fee numbers for now, then don't panic. It's likely just a display lag rather than a cost lag. Now, I think this move from Vanguard reinforces something that's really important for long-term investors, which is that fees are one of the few things that you can actually control. You can't control the stock market and you can't control inflation, but you can control how much you pay to invest. So every time a provider cuts fees, that's a guaranteed return for investors. And by the way, if you found this topic interesting and you want to learn more about the world of investing, then this is probably the sort of topic that you can talk about with other UK investors inside a community that I'm planning to launch soon. A place where you can ask questions, share your experience, and learn from others along the way. So if this sounds interesting and you'd like to be part of it, then there is a waiting list that you can join by scanning the QR code on screen or by clicking the link in the description or in the first comment. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you later, my friend.